Hey, hello everybody, and welcome to the event team briefing for the Tyree 10K and half marathon on Saturday. I thought I'd just sit down in my kitchen and have a little chat with you, just to make sure we're all set up for the weekend. First up, look, big thank you to everybody for pitching in and helping out this weekend. Thank you for volunteering to be in the event team. And look, you know as well as I do that this event is really special, and so much of that is what you put in as the event team. I'm really grateful for everybody's help. And I know a lot of you have done this event so many times before, so yeah, you probably know more about what's going on than I do. I also know that there's new volunteers, new members of the team, so welcome to all of you. And yeah, just really excited about the prospect of another event weekend and a weekend that's looking favourable. I mean, Tyree is turning it on. There's some good weather out there and it looks like it's set to continue. So the idea of this chat is to make sure we know what's going on so that we can make the best weekend of it. We can support the runners the best way. And if things do come up, and things do come up, then we can respond in the appropriate way. So anyway, right, before I get into that, just some context to the event. So the event was set up in 2006, so we're nearly at the 20th anniversary of this event. It's a 10K and a half marathon, and it's grown from having 40 runners the first year, mostly local residents, through to having 350 runners we're expecting on Saturday, and most of those are visiting runners, though we do have a strong contingent of local runners this year as well. I went through the start lists last night, and yeah, it's really cool looking down that list and seeing so many familiar names there. So looking forward to that, and of course there's lots of names I don't recognise. So yeah, excited to see that start line come together on Saturday. So let's just go through some basics then. I'll try not to waffle on too much, but just some basics as to what's happening on the day. You'll see information on the website. There's some briefing notes on there, so you can have a scan through that. There's also a recording of the runners briefing that went out the other night if you really want to have a listen through that. But just to go through the basics then. So on Saturday, what we've got is registration at the Lodge Hotel from 11 o'clock till 1 o'clock. I've got some little props here just to remind me. So we've got race registration at the Lodge Hotel. This is Saturday, 11 till 1 o'clock, and this is where runners pick up their goodie bags. I did have one, but it's disappeared. It's where they collect their race numbers. Race numbers are going to be worn on their front so that we can see them when they're crossing the line. Race numbers have medical details on the back, so if you're on the registration teams, make sure they fill out their medical details on the back, and then it's pinned to the front. Teams, you know what you're doing anyway, so I'm not going through too much to do with registration. Tri-Island trophies. So this is a trophy for people that compete Col, Mull and Tyree. Cumulative times put onto a leaderboard. Fastest times get trophies. These have been returned. This one is the Lady of the Isles Half Marathon Cup. So we've got a few of those. We've got some medals there for people that do all three events. You'll see hopefully by the end of the day there's some signs going up warning people around that end of the island that there's a race happening on Saturday. 2 till 5 p.m. So registration's 11 till 1. The race starts on Got Bay at 2 o'clock. 10K half marathon. It's a 10K course that's marked out with these arrows. 1 lap for the 10K, 2 laps for the half marathon. So when people come back through, there'll be a sign pointing the 10K finishers to the finish line. Half marathon runners will continue along the beach to a turnaround point. They'll go around that into their second lap and then come back through to the finish. Now there will be distance markers laid out around the course, from 1 to 9 kilometres. I'm not going to do it twice round and add in half marathon distance markers because it would get really confusing. So you'll see some of those around the course. It's the same finish line for everybody. Finish line teams, I'm going to try and make a more organised funnel for the finish line this year so that we can manage finish timings a little bit easier. But it's the usual setup of having an iPad, clipboard combination, taking numbers as they come through. That's why it's really important to get people wearing the numbers on the front. Most of you though will be around the course at marshal stations, so you'll be able to pick up a marshal bib from registration, looking something like this. There's 2 water stations, there's one down at Ruig, there's another one at Ball. They're just water stations, so we don't need to stock them with food, but you'll get plastic cups, you'll get things of canisters of water. I'll put some extra water out there because it looks like it's going to be a warm weekend. Those stations will also have first aid kits available to runners. And, I've got some medals here. So there are medals this year at the finish. Podiums in the evening at the dance. Tickets available at registration. You're marshalling. Of course, you're going to get a ticket for the dance, unless you're working. All right. That's kind of what's happening on the day. So you'll see that there's a road that's gone round. There's going to be changes to that, but that gives you an idea as to where you're going to be stationed and where everybody else is. So I'll amend that as we go, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to annoyingly drop each of you a voice note individually, just explaining or clarifying where your position is and what you're doing. That's maybe a bit too much, and it's maybe for my benefit, feeling that I'm organised with things, but just so you're completely sure where you are, where the course goes, and you're aware of any particular hazards. So quickly, just a few bullet points. Your jobs as a marshal, and again, I know loads of you know this a lot better than I do, but just to go through that. So you've got a marshal point around the course. So the main things I'd say to you is have fun. It's a point where you can give that enthusiasm, give that energy to the runners, particularly as they get tired towards the end of the course. So be that person that makes eye contact with them, that really cheers them on. I think that's probably your number one role as a marshal, and that's the thing that people remember. I've done so much racing over the years, and that's the thing, it's that fleeting moment of eye contact where there's a transfer of energy and you're just boosted by that. So you've got a really important role to play there. I've mentioned the water stations already, so if you're at one of those points, giving support. But it's also to safely guide runners around the course. So a lot of it is off-road, Gott Bay. Actually, shall I go through the course? Let's do that. So the course starts outside the Lodge Hotel. It goes along the beach, all the way along Gott Bay over towards Ruig. So some of the marshal stations, like the one at the end of Ruig, they're coming up off the beach, over some grass, down onto another beach. It's a rocky beach. So you've got a section like that where you've got to be visible as a marshal so that they can see where they're going. You can guide them around that section of the course. There'll be route arrows there so you know exactly where it goes, but also you can shout out any particular hazards. So in that bit, they're going to go up over some grass and down onto a beach that's got lots of rocks on it at that Ruig beach. So just warning them to look out for the rocks. So guiding people safely through your section of the course with the particular hazards around there. They're then going on to the road end at Ruig, where there's a water station. They're coming up off the beach onto a really bumpy track and then up onto the road. So at that point, I'd probably be encouraging them to just follow the road all the way because they're going right over towards Salem. Maybe just watching out for the bumpy ground, although they've come off the worst bit on the beach, but really just encouraging them there where the route goes, and the route goes straight up the road all the way. It goes up towards the road junction and they pick up the Salem Road, Marshall Station there, and that one's more about traffic management. So on that one, again, being visible, visible to traffic coming down the roads, but also visible to the runners so they can see you at the junction. They're not wondering which way to go, even though there's signs out there directing runners the right way on towards Salem. Marshals at the end of the Salem Road, directing runners down onto the beach, following the beach along, and then over that little lump, perhaps around that lump if the tide is low enough. So Rob, I know you're at that station, so you'll be able to see where the tide is, be visible at that point, and you can guide runners. They'll see you coming along the beach. So whether they go up and over through that gate or around there on the beach, you can be that guiding light on the beach. They continue around over onto Vall Bay to the water station at the corner, and following along the coastline there, following the signs. It's bumpy. Yeah, the thing on that corner of the beach is there's that boggy bit of seaweedy stuff. So I'll mark the course out so it goes around there. So I'm just realizing I'm saying all the things that I'd probably put in the voice notes. Anyway, the course goes around, you've got the water station there, it comes up the track onto the road, and then it follows the Vaughan Road past the golf course, right back down onto the beach, and then back to the finish line for the 10K, or the turnaround point for the half marathon, and then back in for the second lap. So what was I saying at the start of that story? Yeah, your job as a marshal is to be aware of the hazards around you and the requirements of that part of the course, directing runners is the correct way, and aware of any local hazards. Excellent. Right. With the traffic thing as well, so part of it is minimising any disruption. So although you don't need to be stopping and starting traffic, just allowing traffic and runners to go through smoothly. Other job is leaving no trace. So once everybody is through, clearing up your marshal station, picking up any litter that's mistakenly been dropped, and leaving it as if nothing had ever happened. If you're able to, once we're definitely sure the last runner has gone through, perhaps take down the signs that you can see around your space, and if you've got time, perhaps you could walk back to the last marshal station, or just, yeah, if you can gather in whatever you can from the course and bring it back to HQ, that'd be amazing. Most of the signs will be put in by stakes hammered into the ground. Some might be attached to fences. You might not be able to just pull those off. So leave stuff that you can't remove and bring back the stuff that you can. Other important things as a marshal are being a point of contact. So communication around the course is really important. We've got the WhatsApp group set up, so that will no doubt be lively during the day. It's a really good way of just seeing how the day is unfolding. I mean, it's fairly quick with the 10K and the half, but it allows you to have an idea as to where the first runners are, who the last runners are. So feel free just to update that as the day goes on. But also being a point of contact in case we need to respond to an emergency situation, or if there's runners needing support. I'll go through that in a moment, but the point is just to make sure you've got your mobile phone on you, charged up, volume set to high, and that you're available should you need to make contact, or should we need to make contact with you. All right, that was quite a lot. Anything else I need to tell you before I look at emergency procedures? Last runner I'm expecting in about 5 o'clock. It's usually just over the 3-hour mark. So if we start at 2 o'clock, just after 5 o'clock is usually the last runner coming in. We've got dance in the evening, and we've got yoga and a beach clean on Sunday, if you're able to make that, 1 o'clock on Crosspole Beach. If you're not in the Facebook group, make sure you join that, so any extra updates will be on there. Right, should we just go through emergency procedures? So in 20 years, or nearly 20 years of running an event, we've never had a serious incident, but we need to be prepared just in case something does happen. It might be that you get a non-critical incident where you need additional support, in which case you can contact HQ directly using my number. As I've said, there's the first aid points available at Rueg and Vaughan if you need those, but if you need extra assistance and it's non-critical, contact me directly at HQ. If you can't get hold of me, the GP on duty is Claire, and she's obviously very much aware the event is happening, and you can contact Claire through the surgery number. I will give you all the numbers, but that would be your response for something that's non-critical. If something does happen though, and we need emergency assistance, maybe we'll just go through this in the way that if something did happen, what would be the things that we'd want to know? What would be the conversation we'd wish we'd had to prepare us better? So let's go through those things now. Imagining worst case scenario, and in my mind I'm thinking road traffic collision, or somebody just collapses and falls unconscious. What are we going to do? So your fastest response, or your best way to get a fast response, is to make a 999 call. That will patch you through, and they'll be able to coordinate the response to that. So I'm going to give you a summary sheet for your marshal point, and that will have your location, it'll have your OS grid reference, and it'll have a what 3 words location as well. It'll have the emergency numbers on there, and your emergency number is 999. Following that, you can make a call directly to the surgery, and that will patch you through to Claire so that you can give her the heads up as to what's happened. And you could also contact me at HQ so I can then arrange additional support as I can. But that'll be your chain of communication. It'll be worth agreeing beforehand, and I'll put this on the sheets as well, perhaps assigning some roles. So when you're at your marshal points, most of you should be not on your own. I know there's a few of you stationed on your own at a point, but most of the time I'm trying to put more than one person at a marshal point. So in advance, perhaps have that conversation so you know exactly who is going to make the calls and who's going to look after the casualty. Other key bit of information that I would want to know in advance would be where the defib units are. So there's public access defib units available around the island. So if something did happen, I wish I'd known where they were. Well, make sure you're familiar with where they are. Nearest ones around this course are Vauxhall Golf Club, Coolest Phone Box, and there's one that Claire has in the GP vehicle. Again, I'll put those on the Marshall summary sheet that I send you, but just to be aware of where they are in relation to your location. And when you have that little chat at the start, assigning roles, perhaps agree who is going to go for that defib unit if you should need it. Feel free to also rope in additional helpers if you feel like you need extra help at your station. There's going to be spectators probably around the course as there is, so there's usually extra people around. So perhaps being proactive about organising how you would handle that response would be helpful. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Like I say, we've never had an emergency incident before. We've had a few minor incidents, but always helps to be prepared. Right, okay, let's bring this back to how we're hoping Saturday goes. The forecast is favourable. We've got a sunny forecast, mild, not overly warm, a cooling northerly breeze. I would say that's pretty much ideal. Tide conditions are good as well. It's a mid-tide going out the way, so there should be plenty of beach available to run on. So yeah, things are looking favourable. And yeah, numbers are good. We've got loads of local residents running as well. I went through the entry list last night, and we've got 9 locals running the 10K. And then there's a whole load of people that I know have done the event lots of times before. So it's going to feel very much like a reunion down on that start line. So definitely soak that in. We've got our registration teams that I know you guys have done the event so many times before. You know what you're doing. If you're not in that team and you'd like to come in and help our registration, give me a shout. Extra hands always make things work well. What else? I'm probably going to think of loads of things after this. That's probably long enough though. So I will send you out things individually. I might be annoying and send you a little voice note as well. But if you're not sure of anything, give me a shout. Call into registration at the lodge. Pick up your bibs. Pick up anything else you need for the day. But beyond that, yeah, just get yourselves ready. Anything you want to do to make the Marshall stations really good fun. Get some music playing. Put some banners up. Anything like that you want to do. Go ahead and do it. Make it fun for the runners going around and give them that support. All right. Okay, I think that's about it. So thanks for watching it this far. And I'll be in touch with you over the next few days. All right, I'll see you at the weekend. Cheers, guys.